All right. Here we go. Just gonna pick a problem and do it. We're on practice test 3. We're gonna do whatever we need to do. So we'll start with you, Miss Cloud.
Number 3.
Number 3. This is our find the measure of the arc problem. So when we have to find the measure of an arc, what pops into your head? What should pop into your head? Radius times radians. This is how you're always going to find the measure of an arc. It's real simple. A simple multiplication. So what do I know about my picture? My circle. Here's my arc. So there's my x. And the angle is 125. And the radius is 6 centimeters. So already, x, my arc, is going to equal 6 over 1 times something. What do I need to do? What do I need to know?
What 125 degrees is?
I need to know what 125, how many radians 125 degrees is. How do I find that out?
Y over
Pi over 180 equals something, that x is not that x, something over 125. So 180x equals 125 pi. Usually it seems like when we do these, we can cancel out some zeros. We can't. But what definitely goes into both 125 and 180? 5. So 125 divided by 5 is 25. And 180 is 36. Does that break down anymore? I don't think so. So all I just did there was reduce that fraction. Okay, divided 5 into both of them, reduce the fraction. Now remember, my answer is 6, the radius, times the radian measure of the angle. So 6 over 1 times 25 pi over 36. So that's 150 pi over 36, multiply straight across. Or you can cross cancel if you want, because these are both divisible by 6, which leaves us with 25 pi over 6 centimeters. Please don't let the arithmetic bog you down. It's just basic, simple arithmetic, multiplied fractions, canceling, simplifying. That's your answer. So, Colleen, what part of all that do you have a question about?
I just didn't know how to find, like, to change the 125.
This is how you do it.
Yeah.
That is another question on the test. That's actually question number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you gotta make sure you know how to do that because you're gonna do it twice. All right, who else? Somebody else had a hand up. I didn't see it. Yeah,
Number 4.
Number 4. Number 4 is one of those problems where we have to find everything, but they give us one of them. So they say the cosine is 2/3, which, I mean, let's take advantage of that. That means the secant is 3/2. That's gimme, that's automatic. You get points for that. Now, would you agree I need a picture here to solve the rest of this? And the problem tells me where to draw the picture. If the problem didn't tell me, I'd probably put it in quadrant 1, but the problem tells me. So when they tell me, I have to put it where it says. Where does this one go?
Quadruple.
between 270 and 360, which I know is exactly what you said, quadrant 4. So here I am in quadrant 4. Here's my angle. The cosine is 2/3. That's adjacent over hypotenuse. What do I need to do? You already did this once in another problem today. What do I need to do? I need to do the Pythagorean theorem, right? And if you tell me it's root 13, I'm going to come back and maybe shake you up. Because when I do the Pythagorean theorem, it's gotta be side squared plus side squared equals hypotenuse squared. Don't add the hypotenuse. So what is it? What is this missing piece?
Root 5.
Square
Negative
root of
root 5. Negative.
Negative. Gotta be on your toes. Why is it negative? Because it's going down. Once you get that, you can pretty much fill in the rest. You might want to label these, you don't have to. Some of you, I mean, you've been at this for a while, but this is opposite, this is adjacent, and this is hypotenuse, right, for this angle. So sine is negative root 5 over 3. Tangent is negative root 5 over 2. Cosecant's the reciprocal of sine. Cotangent's the reciprocal of tangent. Then one more step. What's our last step then? If any of them need cleaned up, we need to do it. So these are all good. This one, 3 root 5 over 5, negative. And this one, 2 root 5 over 5, negative. Other than that, they're perfect. Would you agree? All right, who else? Good questions here. What else? The test is right here before you. This is your last chance. Other than office hours tomorrow. This is your last chance.
Can we do 5B?
5B. Now, what does this notation mean? Find an angle. So I remind myself of this. This means an angle. So I'm just going to say my answer is going to be some degrees. This one is going to be in quadrant 2. Remember, I will tell you that. I didn't on this paper, but I will, I promise. On the test, I will tell you. Quadrant 2. Now, what does that mean about the answer that we put in the answer blank? It has to be bigger than 90, but less than 180, somewhere between 90 and 180. Would you agree with me? Right? Okay, so what do I know about my picture? I know the cosine, so that means adjacent and hypotenuse, right? Adjacent is root 3, hypotenuse is 2. If you cared, you would know this side over here is 1. But what you really want to know is this angle, so that might help you. How big is this angle? 30 degrees. 100% fact, that is a 30-degree angle. But 30 cannot be the answer, because why? It's not bigger than 90. So the answer is going to be the angle that gets me all the way around, right, to the 30 mark. So how big is that orange angle? Use your logic. How big is it, Giovanni? 150. I want you to look at that picture. If you didn't figure that out on your own, I want you to look at it. Does 150 make sense to you? This is 180. if I had orange and purple, shouldn't I get 180? If purple's 30, doesn't orange have to be 150? And that's the answer to the question. So when you answer the question, it's 150 degrees. Good, who else? Another question, it doesn't have to be the first page, it can be any page of the practice.
What quadrant is 5A?
5A, you tell me,
Oh, okay, sorry.
what quadrant's it in?
Oh.
What quadrant's it in? What'd she say?
A circle.
No, it's not a circle.
It's not a circle.
Mm-mm.
It's one.
It's quadrant 1. Why is it in quadrant 1?
Positive.
Because the number is
Positive.
positive. Anytime the number is positive, you're gonna go on quadrant 1. So Abby, I know sometimes ones mean a circle, but I want you to think this is tangent. Is it possible for tangent to be 1?
No.
1?
Yes.
The angle is
45.
45 degrees, yeah, that's a 45-degree angle. That's question A. That's 5A right there. All right, good questions. What else? Come on. Olivia?
I'm sorry, I was just.
Oh, just messing with your hair. So what your silence is telling me is that you are completely prepared for your test on Thursday. Because what that means is I'm gonna start chapter 5 right now. Eddie?
Put in number 6.
Huh?
Put in number 6.
Number 6, we sure can. We have a negative secant and a negative tangent. Remember, less than 0 means negative. So we have a negative secant and a negative tangent. And our job is to figure out which quadrant that happens in, and it sure as heck isn't quadrant 1, right? We got all this negative going on, it can't be quadrant 1. So, if you don't have any other plan, just pick a quadrant.
3.
3, all right, let's pick 3. In quadrant 3, I know this is negative, and this is positive. Remember, the hypotenuse is always positive. So here's your angle. I need secant. Secant is hypotenuse, adjacent, hypotenuse over adjacent, it's reciprocal of cosine. So hypotenuse over adjacent would be positive over negative. Does that work? Yep. Okay. All right, what's tangent? Opposite over adjacent. So that would be opposite over adjacent. Is that negative? Negative over negative?
No.
Yeah, that's not negative, is it? So what does that mean? That means quadrant 3 is not the right quadrant. So pick another one.
2.
Somebody said 2, somebody said 4. I'm gonna go ahead and do 4. I don't know, I'll do 4. So in 4, this is positive, negative, positive. I want secant. Secant is hypotenuse, hypotenuse over adjacent. Is that negative? No. It must be quadrant 2. It has to be a quadrant. I mean, there is an answer. There will always be an answer. And I've eliminated everything else. Let's just double check this, see if it works. Hypotenuse over adjacent. Hypotenuse over adjacent. Is that negative? Yep. Opposite over adjacent. Is that negative? Yep, that's it. Quadrant 2. Okay, Eddie? You get all that?
I'm so upset they didn't let me bring my little
Alright, who else? Olivia?
This isn't a single question, but can you remind me when we changed the calculator to degrees?
Somebody remind her. Well, wait, it's always in degrees.
Right.
The calculator's gonna be in degrees for the entire test,
Right.
except for one part.
9.
Part 9, and only the ones that
Aren't degrees.
don't have degree mark. Now, I am not promising you that everybody's question 9 is gonna look like that. Those kinds of problems, it could be question 1 on your test, right? Because they're in different order. But when you are typing things into your calculator, you are going to be in degrees always, unless what you're typing in doesn't have a degree mark. And then you're gonna be like this, okay? So in this question number 9, which ones will I have in radians? B,
B, C, D.
C, and E? Every other question will be in degrees. Now, does that have anything to do with how I type it in? No. So we don't type it in differently. Olivia, we do need to remember though, after we do B, C, and E, change it back. Because everything on the test is in degrees, except for those, that little bit right there. Alright, what else?
Uh, 7, part C.
7, C, is a graph. And it is a negative cosine. So step 1 is, what's the shape of a negative cosine? So it's negative 1/2 cosine 2x. What is the shape of it? So half a valley, because it's upside down, right? So we have half a valley. Then we have our whole hill. And then we have the other half of the valley. See how I drew that? Melissa? See how I drew that? Now I need to label the up and down and where I cross, my high point and my low point. Those need to be labeled. So tell me what you know about any of them, any of the labels.
1/2 and -1/2.
On the vertical is gonna be 1/2 and -1/2, because this number gives me my amplitude, which is my height. Now notice, is that height -1/2? Is height negative? No. Negative is the direction, but the amplitude is positive 1/2. Okay? How about these other labels? We know what they're supposed to be, don't we? But we have divided them by 2. So the first one's at 45. Now, we talked about this just a minute ago. You can keep dividing, it's easy, keep dividing. Or you can say, okay, they're 45 apart. So 45 plus 45 plus 45 plus 45. It's whatever works for you. What's my amplitude? Oh, I wrote it down. Amplitude's 1/2. What's my period? 180 degrees. Okay, Olivia? Did you ask for that?
I did.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
You got it now, Colleen?
Yeah.
I knew it came from somewhere. Hey, when you're 64, you won't remember anything either.
So you remember our names, that's your practice.
Hmm?
You remembered our names, so you have practice right now.
Good for me. I remember most of your names. I still get Gray mixed up.
That one's, those are flinched. That's like fair.
And I am completely lost on RJ and
Yeah.
DJ.
I still up there.
Except they're in different classes, so I can keep that straight because I've seen them chart. I know.
No, there's one.
RJ has.
Great Grace and Ben.
RJ has the hearing, his hearing.
Okay.
All apart.
I have to go back and
Yeah,
extend
we
your
do
ears.
Yep.
That's what I do.
Probably
every
get
time.
arrested for doing that. Okay, who else? Let's go. Gotta be something else we need to do. Samaya. 5. I did that one already, honey. Uh-huh, it's 45 degrees.
5F.
Oh, F. I'm sorry, I thought you said A. No, I have not done F yet. This is not 45 degrees. This is a cosecant. So my answer is going to be a fraction. What is the cosecant fraction?
7 times.
Hypotenuse over opposite. Because cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. Alright, so here we go. How do I get this ball started here?
7 times 180 divided by 6.
So 210. So, Samaya, I need you to make sure that you can do that. This is a no calculator problem, okay? So, you got 7 times 180 divided by 6. What I do is, you don't have to do it this way, but what I do is 6 into 180 is 30, and 30 times 7 is 210. But you're not going to have a calculator, so make sure you can do that with that, okay? All right, what do I do now? It's 210. I had to draw a picture of it, because obviously, I need hypotenuse over opposite. I need a picture, I need a triangle. So where's 210? 210 is right here, right? Here's my triangle. Xavier, this hand's at 180. This hand's at 210. What's that angle in between my two hands? 30. See how easy that is? That's 30. Girls, if that's 30, then this is 1, root 3, and 2. Be careful though, I am in quadrant 3. Something's negative, what is it?
Negative root 3 negative.
Both of these are negative, right? Didn't we go left and down? In that quadrant, they're both negative? So now I'm ready to do hypotenuse over opposite. I'm getting 2 over negative 1, which is negative 2. Does that make sense to everybody? It's not hard at all, but there's a lot of steps to it. There's a lot of things you have to keep in mind. All right, what else? Come on. All right, Jeanette, pick one. Well, this is what Abby did earlier, this kind of problem. We're going to do this problem twice. We're going to do it with our calculator, and that's probably the easiest. Tangent, second, cosine, 2 divided by 5. please, don't put any parentheses in, the calculator will do it for you, 2.2913. Is that what you got? Now, if I'm doing it by hand, I start in the parentheses like I always do. Where will I draw this? Quadrant 1. How do I know to draw it in quadrant 1?
All positive.
All positive, and I didn't tell you otherwise, right? If I don't want it in 1, I'm gonna tell you. Okay. What do I know about this angle right here? I know its cosine is 2/5. These numbers look familiar. What happens now?
Pythagorean theorem.
Pythagorean theorem. Okay, do it. Tell me what you get for the third side of this triangle.
Square root of 21.
Square root of 21. Everybody got square root of 21? Not something else. Melissa. Did you jostle her before her face slams into the desk? Wake up, honey. Are you sick? You need to go to the nurse? Keep your eyes open. Alright, so you've drawn a picture of this. Now we need the tangent. So what's the tangent? Look at your picture, what's the tangent?
Root 21 over
Root
2.
21 over 2. Now, you did that problem without a calculator, but it's on the calculator part of the test. So if you want to check your work, you can. What should happen if you do the square root of 21 divided by 2? You better get that answer, right? If you don't, then you messed it up. Something is wrong. All right, I want to look at B, 10B, because I remember grading these papers, and I remember part 10 being an issue for students in the past. So let's look at 10B. We're going to write an equation for this picture. And the equation you write is either going to be sine, cosine, or tangent, right? Every time. You will decide which it is based on the angle and the sides in the problem. So with regard to this angle, no other angle, I don't care about the rest of them, that one right there. This is which side? Opposite adjacent or hypotenuse? That's opposite. What's this one? Hypotenuse. If those are your sides, then your function is going to be sine. Sine x equals opposite over hypotenuse. How do I type that in on my calculator?
Second sine.
Second sine, 18 over 19, and that will give me my answer. So second sine 18 divided by 19, 71.33. Now, I want to look at A, because that's going to cause us problems too, some of us. We're not careful. How about 10A? This is your angle right here. So what's the x? Which side is the x?
Opposite.
Which side is the 12? That's another sine. Sine 37 equals x over 12. But what's different about that one?
Not second sine.
Not second sine. I am going to times by, no, not times by 37.
12.
I'm going to times by 12. And just go. That's going to be my answer. 12 sine 12 sine 37. 7.22. All right, what was your question?
I have a question on 13E. I just wanna go over the setup of that one.
13E. It's one of my word problems. What is the angle of elevation? Okay, I'm gonna stop right there, put an X right here, because I'm looking for my angle of elevation, and my angle of elevation and depression always goes there. Agreed? A pre-cal student looking at the top of a building, so here's the student, right down here, looking at the top of the building, that is 51 feet tall. Okay, where does the 51 go? On the height of the building. That's the opposite side from the angle, right? That's how tall the building is. And the student is standing 200 feet from the building. That's the bottom. This is 200 feet from the building. What's this? To the top of the building, so maybe there's an eagle up here. How far is the student from the eagle? But if we're talking about how far he is from the building, you measure that on the ground.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. If I think about it like this, if I told you to go outside and stand 10 feet away from the building, wouldn't you walk 10 feet away from the building? That was on the ground, right? So what's our equation here? Tan x. 51 over 200, and then what do I type in on my calculator? Second tangent. So what I type in is second tangent 51 over 200. All right, one more. Let's do one more, Jacob.
7A.
7. A is a graph. This one is a sine. So remember, the first thing you should do, I think, it's up to you, it's your test, but I think the first thing you should do is draw the shape. So it's a sine. So forget about labels for a minute, just draw the shape. What does a sine look like?
Through the origin, hill,
It's a
valley.
hill, and then a valley, unless it's negative, and then it would be valley and then hill, right? Okay, so there's the shape. Now we're gonna label the high and low. We have to label here, 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 and here. So, tell me about high and low.
2 and negative 2.
2 and negative 2. The amplitude is 2. What should these labels be?
90, 180.
90, 180, 270, 360? Well, what's happened? I've divided by a third, which is the same as timesing by 3. So this is 90 times 3. So that's gonna be 270 for that first one. Now, the next one, you can either do 180 divided by a third. That will work every time. Or you can say, okay, if this one's 270, then this one's gonna be another 270. And another 270. And another 270. It doesn't matter. Remember, you don't have a calculator though. So you've got to figure out how you can best manipulate the arithmetic. Okay, point for the shape, point for the labels, point for amplitude and period. Already said my amplitude was 2. What's my period? 1080 degrees. All right, test Thursday. All righty, we got 3 practices. Also want to remind you Then at the end of your notes,